Welcome to the 11 Warriors show for Friday, June 14th, 2024. I'm Jason Priestis. That's Chris Lauterak, Ramsey Nasrallah, coming to you guys on a Friday morning. We're in the midst of our summer schedule, and we're kind of making up rules as we go. May do Fridays, as the season gets here. That'd be a fun day to do. You got the preview on tap and all that.
We had to get on 614 day for
yeah. I mean, that's really it. It was just we're going to do one last show on 614 day and then right off. But no, a lot of fun things. It's June, so you don't think there's some fun things to talk about, but there actually are right now because news came out yesterday. The Big 12 is close to some deals. The first one is for conference naming rights. Could be worth hundreds of millions over the term. It does come with the removal of the word big from Big 12, and apparently Allstate, the insurance giant, is in talks with the Big 12. And are you ready for the Allstate 12 conference? Because that sounds weird as hell, I'm going to be honest.
It's the glamour states, Big 12 states. The Big 12 has been the Big 12 since, 96? Mm-hmm. We were all in college. They were the Big 8.
In the SWC for Arkansas, and you said glamour states. I'm trying to reconcile West Virginia glamour, and I'm having a really hard time right now. But, it's a different kind of glamour. It's like moonshine and burning couches, and that's glamour in its own way.
The states of ill repute, you just call them the glamour states. It's backhanded.
Conference USA is supposedly in similar talks, and that's already got a pretty good name. It should be like Smirnoff Conference. It should be something totally Russian or something. Just to
Conference USA sounds like an apparel brand that you would get at the dollar store.
It's something my dad would wear. I wouldn't
saw my off-brand Wrangler. It's Conference USA jeans.
Dude, my dad just doesn't care about clothes or style. I went and saw him in his place in Florida. He's down there for the winter, and he's driving the golf cart and having that life. And I looked down, and I swear he's wearing a pair of Chris. These shoes called And Ones?
Yeah.
Like he's wearing And Ones. I'm like, do you know what that is, Dad? Are you a Hooper? Nice. What happened, man?
And one shoes and a pair of Kirkland jeans.
He doesn't have any idea what he's wearing at any day of the week, and I kind of respect that because our whole generation is all about name brands, and his is just like, no way, I'll wear some And Ones, and I'm fine with them.
You gotta get him a pair of Starburys for Christmas.
I should, man. Get him the Starburys to complete the look, and get him each put a wristband on his forearm, and just go all out. But
shooting sleeve for the retirement home.
I had him as a British Knights guy. I don't know.
Yeah, well, what else he likes? Because
LA Lights.
We're older, so we're funerals and stuff are all in our routine now. But unfortunately, he likes the dress shoes with the tassels. He's that generation. You know what I'm talking about? The two little tassels on the leather. Yeah. That's his jam right there.
Nice.
So we got into them, but there's still time.
We do. We do have time. Our generation we were younger. I remember in high school, penny loafers were the rage. You guys remember those? Everyone used to wear penny loafers. And maybe that's cool.
Docksiders. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The original boat shoe generation was us.
Everyone in Central Ohio wearing boat shoes without access to a boat.
My favorite thing in the world is to be driving on 315 and see someone with the Ohio plates and a Salt Life bumper sticker. I'm like, what are you doing, man? There's no salt around here.
Yeah, they're talking about the Michigan game recently. That's the Salt Life.
Some salt there. Back to that Big 12, man. This one caught my eye. Reports out there that CBC Capital from Luxembourg is in advanced discussions with the Big 12 for 20% stake in the conference for $1 billion. Nothing could possibly go wrong with a deal like that, right?
How are they going to make their money back?
Well, you're going to have the Big 12 championship game in Riyadh. I know that will be something we'll have on the horizon.
What kind of numbers do the Big 12? We've got a pretty good track record on Big 12 teams.
Yeah.
What's moving the needle?
I don't know. This to me seems like, hey, we've got to do something to catch up to the other two. That's what it screams to me, right? We'll do whatever it takes. Is this whole thing are you guys ready for this? Is this clownery? Is this too much? Everyone's all of a sudden got a $20 million line item in their budgets now too.
It's clownery. It's clownery.
They got to pay for Olympic sports, and I can see why they need to do this. It's going to be tough to get used to, and it's kind of like the Sears Tower. We're going to call it the Big 12 no matter what they call it, right?
Yeah, well, to me, it's no different than, what's Gene Smith's title? It's like a sentence, right? It's not athletic director. It's literally a sentence.
Yeah.
It's an endowed. Someone gave money, right? So,
UM's big on that stuff too. I think Harbaugh had a title in his head coaching role, didn't he, when he was there?
I think both their coordinators did too.
Yeah, pretty sure they do. Yeah. What's the best sponsor for the Big 12? If they're going to get someone, to me, Dr. Pepper, it's so ingrained in college football. Now, it's not that funny, but it makes sense. And they're from the state of Texas, obviously, and And you know how everyone in the South calls everything Coke? I think everyone in Texas calls everything Dr. Pepper. It's like, can I get a clear Dr. Pepper? And like, you mean Sprite? Yeah, I'll take one of those. So,
what if they just call it Fansville?
Fansville. I could do that, man. And just make Osworth the commissioner. Do you get perks
What
like
did
that?
George
Do you
say in 11 Warriors Slack? 7-11-12.
Said the 7-11-12. That's a good one, too. That's a good one, too. Buckeyes, I think, is a good name for that the giant gas stations they love down there.
Who do they have? I mean, they don't have any good teams left, right? I mean, Oklahoma and Texas are gone, so isn't it like T. Boone Pickens's conference now? What's he got? BP? What's his BP? Capital Management or something?
Well, he's been dead for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're talking realistically, though, company like Pepsi wouldn't be bad. They're like a third tier conference. It's a third tier.
There's all kinds of money down there. They're building the tallest building in America in Oklahoma City.
Really?
Yeah,
it's a great place. It never gets windy there. It's an ideal spot.
It'll stand out. I mean, that's for sure. Like a bunch of condos and then boom. I mean, there's a lot of, to your point though, a lot of companies have moved to Texas in the last 15 years. AT&T's headquarters there now. I want to say Boeing pieced out of Chicago and went to Texas. I could be wrong there. Feel free to fact check me. So there's some money down there, some businesses down there because of the climate and the low corporate taxes and whatnot. But man, I think there's some funny ones out there. Buckeyes, 7-11-12 is a good one. Natty Light 12, I think that's got a good ring to it. There's some good stuff out there. Do you think
the Big 12 thought of this first? Has everybody been thinking about this? They're kind of the first to pull the trigger with Conference US because everybody's selling out everything they possibly can. Like, was this groundbreaking or was this just them being a little bit more desperate than maybe some of the other conferences?
Good question. I don't know. I mean, I know the report said that they presented it to league leadership in May, so it's at least a month old. It's just coming out. My hunch is that someone got the word and was a broker of some sorts and says, hey, we've got to find a partner for this conference. That's part of my job is to broker this deal. And then they might have called up Conference USA and the MAC and maybe some other conferences right away and says, you guys want in on this too. Love to connect you guys. Could we see the Big Ten and SEC hold out on this a little bit? I don't know about forever, but I guess I could see it where the Big Ten's just like, no, we're not going to do that. The SEC would follow suit or do it as well, just to kind of flex their status a little bit. Are you guys seeing that?
I think that what the Big 12, what everyone but the SEC and the Big Ten did was they probably looked at this like the way that corporate development in companies does. They look at the college sports market as a total addressable market for what they could get as member institutions. They might have drilled down and just looked at football because that's where most of the money is. And they look at market share and they look at serviceability. That's what Jim Delaney did in 2004 when he started concocting the Big Ten network, which was an unbelievable success. Nothing's come close to duplicating it, including the SEC network, which is basically an ESPN affiliate. And they're looking at ways to try to advance, shareholder wealth. And you look at what the assets look like in the Big Ten. You've got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, even like some of the brands you don't think of as brands, like Illinois, Iowa, incredible reach. Iowa has the best traveling fans in the Big Ten. It's not really all that close. Ohio State's up there, but the whole state of Iowa loses half its population when the Hawkeyes win a bowl game. And so they command a lot of the TV market as a result because of the passion. And there's some things that they don't have. Their assets don't have. So they have to find ancillary ways to increase shareholder wealth. And you know what? Finding an insurance company that's got money faucets and giving them naming rights that they are probably stress testing and thinking people will get used to. Good enough due time. That's one way to do it pretty quickly. And there'll be terms on it. And that's what's scary about CVC Capital Partners. They're going to have revenue expectations, and they're going to have some milestone payments due by certain dates. And if you're getting close to that milestone payment and you don't have it, they're not going to grow it from top line revenue. They might have to take it out of bottom line, out of cost. And that's what you see every day in Wall Street, right around earnings report time. Got to make your number. Did you do it by growing or did you do it by cutting? And that's what's scary when you start to introduce these kinds of financial instruments and groups into a sport that as recently as 10 years ago, we were admonishing Terrell Pryor for driving a Nissan that had temporary plates on it. Now there's like a Lambeau parking lot in the Texas football facility, and we're talking about private equity taking 1/5 the ownership of a major conference. Stuff goes really slow for decades, and then all of a sudden it accelerates super fast.
Yeah, I mean, the private equity, there's no doubt in my mind it's going to end poorly. It just is. Like you said, they're different incentives for different groups. I mean, what's that even look like? Are they going to have the traditional board like a business where this CBC Capital Partners has two guys sitting there? You got the commissioner, maybe you got the president of a school on the business board. I mean, what's that even look like?
Governance is going to be interesting, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you look at what private equity's done to a lot of our favorite things. My beloved Olive Garden, our beloved Red Lobster, right? Like they just torched Bob Evans, even locally. It's like they're not the same because they're going to squeeze.
They
profit.
looted the asset. That's what private equity does when it buys newspapers. It just strips them of all their value, and then there's a carcass left. And they've done that for so many different industries. Why would you be like, oh, this will be different?
Yeah.
I think what are they, Latvian? Where'd you say they're from?
Luxembourg.
I knew it was an L country that never been to. You think they know anything about college football? They just, this is something that Americans love. It's got billions of dollars flowing through it. It's on TV. Can't miss. And then they're like, where's Oklahoma State? Do people tune in for those games?
Yeah. What's a Jayhawk?
Are they trying to embed in the conference, or is this just like a sponsorship deal, right? I mean, we're just talking about...
They want to take ownership stake. 20% ownership. Yeah. For $1 billion. Cold billion.
Yeah,
so be careful.
I think, you know what, if they want to be the guinea pig for what this looks like, cook.
Right.
I don't care.
That's a great way to look at it. Let them, everyone else can kind of watch and say, okay, we're not doing that. Some more sad news, I guess. Tommy's announced this week they were closing their location on campus, the one that's right across from Jesse Owens North there, right there on Lane, right by the shoe. 45 years, man. Basically an institution there. Really good pizza. I think a lot of us have a lot of affinity for Tommy's. Ramsey, I know you're an Upper Arlington guy. Obviously, I think you said earlier, it was like church. People would go to Tommy's on the one further west on Lane, in Upper Arlington, and a big part of the fabric. They're turning it over. They mentioned maybe leasing it to another restaurant. They could maybe make more money there. I tend to think maybe we'll see a condo or a building, like a 6-story building go up there is probably what's going to happen. Sad day. You guys all right with it?
I'll let the Gahanna guys go first before the UA guy who grew up at Tommy's.
Yeah, I don't have the same affinity. I think it sucks anytime a 45-year local owned, I don't care what they're selling, right? Kind of sucks to see one of them go down. So I've only been to Tommy's a handful of times. It was always good. It was never a place I sought out, but it wasn't in my backyard. Like Gahanna has Katie's Pizza for like that was my version of that, is that, like I could eat that even now. I'm like, yeah, pretty good. But the nostalgia that comes with it is why it's really good in my opinion, right? So yeah, it sucks for people that were really into Tommy's. I can't say that I was, but mostly just because of proximity, not because of any poor favor I had of it. I try to go at least once a season when I'm back in town, and I usually end up going to the one that's closing. The one in UA also on Lane Avenue just isn't conducive for a game day. But one thing you notice if you've been to Tommy's on campus over the past 20 years, they stopped paying maintenance. If you go to the bathroom there, it's like you're next to a mop bucket and a bunch of storage stuff. All the plates are on it looks like they barely clean it, barely take care of it. And I've been worried about Tommy's for a while. And when I grew up going to the one in UA down the street, the same 60-year-old lady waited on me as now. I don't know if it's the same woman, but like they're not. It's definitely gotten some staleness to the upkeep. They haven't kept up. There are no real specials. The pizza's still, I think I said this in 11 Warrior Slack. Sometimes pizza's awesome because you were eating it when you were 12. I was eating it when I was 12. I was eating it when I was 20, 30, 40. It kind of takes you back. Kind of like a song, kind of like a movie, kind of like a sports team. And for it to shut down, it's, I wish they would sell. I wish they would take the asset, the recipe, the secret sauce that Tommy's has, which so many people have affinity for, and has, there's a pizza history in Columbus, the relationship to Donato's and Iacono's, like it's kind of like how all bourbon came from like 4 places and it's branched out into this huge thing. The same thing sort of happened in Central Ohio. I wish Tommy's would just sell to someone who wants to take the asset and invest in it, maybe,
put some shine on it, but it looks like instead we're going to get another sterile brick building on Westland Avenue.
Yeah, maybe don't sell to CVC Capital Partners if we want to keep the good sauce, right? Because
we're going to lose Little Bar and Tommy's in a 12-month span.
R.I.P. I mean, Columbus, like some of the people from that we know that don't live here like to make fun of Columbus pizza, Donato's, the square cut. My wife's from Philadelphia; she roasts it too. I'm not going to spare her. Like New York style pizza is delicious. Like it's the best pizza in America, in my opinion. But I don't like. I'll go to war for my town. I mean, like Donato's is good sometimes. You know, Tommy's is delicious. Some Adriatico's is great. You know, like it's pizza, man. Like I mean, sure, there's better pizza in New York, and Detroit's got good pizza, and Chicago's got good pizza, but like. It's pretty good, man. I'm here to defend it a little bit. What's your favorite Columbus pizza?
It rotates for me depending on what my taste of the moment might be. But right now, Massey's is I don't get to have it that much. The Cadillac of pizza, if you've not been to Massey's, but yeah, there's one in Westerville, one in Hilliard still, I think, one in Gahanna. I'm out in New Albany. A little harder to get there every once in a while, but yeah, to me, Massey's is probably right at the top of the heap right now. I lived in Grandview for a while. Granddad's was like that low key, like really, really good over there by Woodlands. Always like super consistent. Really liked it. But yeah, right now I'd have to say Massey's is at the top of my list. Ramsey, what do you got?
We just buried it.
Yeah.
But I'll get Donato's when I'm in town. They just don't. I live between New York City and Philadelphia. There's 100 pizza places that their biggest fans would tell you are better than anything in Columbus. I've never understood the pizza provinciality because they all have different characteristics, right? If I were to get a pizza from a place nearby here, I'd fold it like it's a floppy slice. It's going to be excellent. If I got a Sicilian pie, it'd be thick, like kind of doughy, but also crispy on the bottom. Great. Detroit pizza, excellent. I love Columbus or Ohio style pizza. It's like they took the abomination that is St. Louis pizza with cheese whiz and saltines, and they said, yeah, what if we did this with better ingredients? And it's similar to, like, I can see, like, Jones is a Chicago stand for pizza, and he's been around. I get the affiliation. It's like St. Louis pizza is Ohio pizza's like gross cousin. They're very different people. I love a Founder's Favorite. I think that I've never seen that combination of ingredients anywhere.
I do too.
And I took it for granted until I left. And I'm like, you don't have banana peppers?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
And it's tough, but I mean, if I had to do a ranking, it's going to be Chicago deep dish and Detroit as 1A and 1B. Columbus pizza is 2. Ohio pizza is 2, and maybe it's because I'm surrounded by it. New York style Northeast pizza is 3rd.
Wow. Ooh, that's interesting. I thought for sure you'd have New York a little higher. St. Louis, I've never had. I've seen pictures. I don't want to have it based on the pictures I've seen.
I gave it. My parents lived there for 5 years, and I'm like, all right, let's try St. Louis pizza again. And it's just frustrating because it looks like you're going to get like an Ohio pizza, and then you eat it, and you're like, saying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if your experience was the same as mine, Ramsey, because we both lived in Chicago for spells, and I was there for a little over 10 years. And the dirty secret, to me at least, of deep dish pizza is the only time we really got it was when we had family in town to visit. Like 99% of the pizza I ate in Chicago,
I got it weekly, man. I was
regular thin crust, man. Like it was 99% of the pizza I would get.
So Chicago tavern style pizza is close to Columbus. It's like what you get in Ohio. It's like a VC pie if you get pizza at the Varsity Club, and that's really good too. There's something about like having 2 slices of pizza and then not being able to walk that I really enjoy and miss.
I do remember the first time we ordered deep dish. We had just moved in and we were unpacking, and I was like, let's order deep dish. And, of course, it takes like a little bit longer, like an hour or 15, because, got to bake it. And it was the first time I'd had it, and I didn't realize how heavy the pieces were, like you said. Because, you're thinking, I could eat like 10 pieces, and you get it like, 2 might be more than enough, man. This thing's massive. It's like lasagna, man. It's great, but it's way bigger than your average pizza.
It's an adventure. I have Lou Malnati shipped to my house because we have nothing like it. I don't think nothing's from Chicago's allowed to open up here. It's like some sort of state law. But yeah, it's a different experience. They're like different foods, man. When people, it's like a casserole, I'm like, oh, you're admonishing Chicago pizza by slurring it, by giving it a different delicious food name. Yeah. It's like lasagna. Delicious. I love lasagna.
No, I'm not slurring it. I take it back. We did have Lou's quite a few times just for fun because there was one near us.
Yeah.
But, My take on pizza is that, like, man, there's not many bad pizzas.
You ever had one that you couldn't ever stomach again?
I mean, aside from like cafeteria pizza at public school, like not really. You know,
I would
eat. If someone threw down if someone threw some Donato's down, I'd eat the shit out of it. I'd love it, man. Like, and there's people that dog on it, but I would kill some Donato's right now.
Have you had La Rosa's from Cincinnati?
Doubly so.
It's jarring. It's like dessert pizza. They're like, our secret is we put a cup of sugar in every slice, and it's like, I just don't. I need savory with pizza. Sorry if that makes me weird. I can't do sweet pizza.
Yeah. Ohio State's 2025 class is shaping up to be an all-timer right now. 14 members, 3 5-stars, 11 4-stars. Got the nation's top 2 cornerbacks, Devin Sanchez and Naeem Alford. Nation's number 2 quarterback, Tavian St. Clair, was just at Ohio State's camp throwing darts. Number 6 OT, Carter Lowe. Number 4 safety just signed, or committed, I should say, Sunday, Fahim Delane. Number 3 running back in the country, Bo Jackson. Like, number 3 running back, number 1 name. Let's be real here. That's a killer name for a running back. 95.14 average ranking right now. If you look back at the last 20 years of 24/7's average prospect ranking per class, only Alabama's 2022 class with a 95.27 is higher. So this, right now, it's cooking to be the second best class per prospect ranking. They're going to get a long snapper, or someone's going to pull the rankings down. Everyone's going to be mad, but you need long snappers, and you got to have a 3-star guy here and there in the class. You're going to get a punter or a kicker. I don't know, something's going to happen. You're going to get some 3-stars, just how it works. But they're still cooking, man. Tim Walton's 24/7's top-rated recruiter this cycle. He's absolutely destroying it. They're probably going to take 9 to, maybe 13 more players, end up with 23 to 27. Got some big fish out there, man. David Sanders Jr., 5-star OT from North Carolina. Clemson's got the lead, they say, but Ohio State's right there neck and neck. He's taking 2 visits to town. Dorian Brew, 5-star corner from Texas. Ohio State leads. Jordan Davison, 4-star running back from California. The Buckeyes lead there. Jamie French, 5-star wide receiver from Florida. The Buckeyes lead there. DeCorian Moore, 5-star wide receiver from Texas. Top 3 player in the class. Texas lean right now, but the Buckeyes are with Hartline definitely in that one still. Jackson Lloyd, 4-star offensive tackle from Indiana. Ohio State leads for him. So they have a chance, man, to really make a run at, certainly Ohio State's 2021 class, which was, incredibly ranked at the time, 321.78 overall, 95.05 per prospect ranking. But even better than that, man, I want to see them kind of approach or top what Bama did a couple years ago and finish with the highest average ranking. So got a shot, some things you have to shake out. They're in it for a lot of big dudes. Who do you guys from this class, who seems to excite you the most right now?
The guy that I like the most is Tavian St. Clair, and I know that's super lame to go with a quarterback. But I remember when they offered him, and there was another who's a 5-star quarterback in Ohio. That's his brother's on the team. And I thought, man, if they're going to give this guy a committable offer, and Ryan Montgomery is not going to be the guy with Luke already on the team, I was like, there must be something there. And what you referenced him throwing darts in camp. Man, you can watch 10 seconds of tape on that guy, and you're like, I get it. Mm-hmm. He's coming next. Like that's awesome. Bo Jackson is fun too. I just chose the 2 most obvious guys. But if you watch his tape too, that dude's a monster. He's fun. He's gonna be fun. It's like the first Guapo adjacent running back I think we've seen since Guapo himself.
Yeah, a nice guy from kid from Ohio too, Cleveland guy, right? So all the tools. Chris, who do you like in the class so far? Who's really caught your eye?
Yeah, Ramsey definitely hit on something there. I think you said Bo Jackson. I think it's interesting. Of the top 7 recruits, he's the lowest ranked. I think he's like 85th. They have like 7 guys in the top 85 and 24/7 right now. But I think for me, it'd be Tavian St. Clair, but his size, 6'4", 225. Just Dan had some footage of him at camp the last couple days, and you see this dude just making some throws. Reminds you of like I don't know, almost like Haskins with like the flick of the wrist, kind of like power, right? I mean, he's just flicking his wrist and the ball's going like a hell of a long way kind of deal. I know people have talked about, Stroud accuracy and those kinds of things. You hope he can continue to develop, but he's bigger than Stroud. I think even Stroud now, 6'3", 215, something like that. So St. Clair's a big guy, like him for sure. But I go to the other side of the ball, thinking about what Walton is doing. You mentioned a little bit, Jason, but Ohio State has 3 of the top 6 players in the 24/7 right now. St. Clair is second, and then Devin Sanchez, corner, is number 4, and then Naheem Offord is number 6, I think. But those guys are 6'2", 6'1", respectively. Over 200 pounds. I mean, not only good corners, but they get that height. They get everything you're looking for to combat those elite receivers these days. The guys that are coming in like Jeremiah Smith that are 6'4" giants. So these are guys who can run with them. Then you think like, gosh, Dorian Brew could join this class as another 5-star corner. It's just crazy. And then, by the way, you got safeties going everywhere, right? You just got another safety committed the other day. You mentioned one they're still in the hunt for. But yeah, for me, it's these 2 corners right now. We'll see if Dorian Brew joins. But man, out of 6'2" and a 6'1" corner, with both of them being in the top 6 of the overall, not just position, but overall rankings, that's something to be excited about, I think, for Ohio State fans.
You guys hit a lot of great names. Like Chris, I like Sanchez, and there are a lot of great players in the class, but because his mom is active as hell on Twitter and chirps at other teams and chirps at other people trying to poach her kid, and said he's staying, he's a Buckeye, and mom's out there actively recruiting. Like, she's trying to put together the class with her son. So I love the kids that are really talented, which he certainly is, but also want to bring a lot of talented kids with them, because some guys are super talented and they'll just, be part of the class, like maybe more quiet, like Jeremiah Smith, freak, right? But he wasn't actively recruiting as much as, some of the more vocal kids would, because Jeremiah's really business-like, down, get to business, get to work. And that's fine. That's what you want too. But like, I love that Sanchez and his mom are basically trying to build the class. So that's why you got to think Dorian Brew's in play. That's why you got to think maybe Decorian Moore, the 5-star wide receiver, snatch him out from under Texas would be incredible as well. Going to be a fun one, man, a really fun one. And it's really defensive heavy right now, but they've got stars on offense and have a chance to, if they can get Sanders, can maybe pick up with Lowe, and Sanders could be maybe 2 of the best offensive tackles in the country. They think. Can
I drop a little exclusive in the middle of our pod?
Absolutely.
So I was in Cleveland over the weekend for my day job and had dinner with David Njoku's burn surgeon. We're doing a healthcare related, burn patient journey project with a couple of organizations, and he's big into. I mean, we were obviously in Cleveland. The guy he couldn't stop talking about, and he's unfortunately a Michigan graduate. The surgeon. Is Cody Haddad, the raving about like how he was going to be going to Michigan, how different and how unique, and what an absolute study is in every column that you would check, and they're like the job that Ohio State did to get him. That's going to make a lot of people sad that aren't Buckeye fans in the future.
I love hearing that, man. He's a St. Ignatius kid. You get those guys from those schools; they're developed right. They're usually smart players. Another safety, another guy in the defensive backfield. How about it? You think back to some of these other guys that would come in as, afterthoughts and develop into like total studs.
Well, this is what like you were talking about the overall point total and average, Jason. There's something about recruiting classes where it's the mix of guys too. It's how well they get along together. If you look at what Texas A&M did a few years ago, where they just like, I'm not saying this in like a cynical way, when they just bought their class. Mm-hmm. Before the current era, but still, I just went out and basically took the 24/7 list and went shopping. They didn't do anything. I think they lost at home. That class lost at home to Appalachian State.
Yeah.
They just did not have any kind of success, and it's because they had no chemistry. They had no cohesion. They had no. This is going to be gross. They had no brotherhood. They missed it. And if you go on Quant to get like what a great class looks like, you might miss that. But if you go on Qual, you get the right mix of guys, and that's part of the reason Ohio State likes getting guys in. How do they get along with the other guys? James Laurinaitis told me this last summer when they did it at Notre Dame. They'd have like studs in, and then the players would come to him and be like, "He's not a Notre Dame guy, even though his tape's awesome. He's not the right guy." Ohio State does the same thing. They're like, "This guy's probably not a Buckeye." And you've seen, like, after visits, sometimes guys just fall off a cliff, and like that visit must have gone poorly. Actually, it probably went really well. because you want to fail quickly. You want to get someone out quickly before they race small up and poison a couple people in the class, or if they're not always bad actors, but like you want to get a guy that's going to make everyone better and thrive himself, not someone who's going to potentially get radioactive and flame out. So I don't, the number thing doesn't matter to me. Sometimes, Cody Haddad right now he's the 18th best athlete in the country. I spent 20 minutes just listening to how great he was from someone who had no reason or motivation to tell me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. You want the culture. I mean, there's a player in this cycle that Ohio State is kind of like getting kind of creeped out by because of like some of the immaturity in demands and back and forth. And you want guys that are pros, that are mature. And I don't know, we saw this recently. The NHL, ahead of their draft, they got teams interviewing guys for the draft. You're going to spend millions of dollars on a top pick. You want to make sure he's a good person. They have all these weird questions you ask. But I think Utah, the team that just moved from Phoenix, was asking players their Uber rider score. And I love that question because it's a really quick way to say, is this guy immature and a-hole? It's a super fast way to get to. If your score is 2.6, you know what? Maybe I'm going to take another guy that I have neck and neck with you in my draft board.
De-risking assets is that's what they do. That's what companies do every day. Why would football be any different?
Yeah, absolutely. On the recruiting topic, some tough news this week. Erin Dunston, Ohio State's assistant AD for football recruiting and events, is leaving for Michigan. Her Twitter profile already shows Michigan paraphernalia. What's the right word to use here? Like,
icons
from up there,
like scoreboard or something.
Yeah, and this is someone that arrived at OSU in 21, that believes in LSU grad, not an Ohio State grad, but managed every facet of recruiting and kept the trains running on time, official visits, unofficials, game day events, special events. It's a big loss, man. I mean, I know Ohio State was salty about it. This is someone who can immediately take a lot of tricks and institutional knowledge right to your enemy and saying, this is what Ohio State's going to do on their visit. This is how we have to top them if we're competing for the same kid. And it sucks. It totally sucks, man. Her sister, Jillian, is assistant coach for the women's hoops team. And she wants, to move up in the AD world. And I respect that. And, as a boss, you want your employees to achieve greatness. And if that means sometimes leaving you and going somewhere else, then, that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. But if you're hoping for their best, you acknowledge it. Maybe there's no room at your company for them to grow into where they want to go and they have to go somewhere else. And again, that's tough, but you have to kind of stomach it and say, this is better for that person. But man, not like this. Not like this, man. It's like, I don't know. First of all, a big loss for Ohio State. Are we all in agreement there that like something like this is massive, especially in June, a massive recruiting month with camps happening left and right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely huge. I was listening to Joshua Perry yesterday talk about, her role at the university and how big of a deal it was. Is someone like that replaceable? Yeah, eventually. But like you said, doing it right now is not necessarily a great thing. But regardless, she was obviously really good at her job and really highly regarded. I don't know, Alford goes and then this happens. People are like, oh, how's this happening? Why is this happening? I think a lot of it is just, for a long time there, Michigan was not a lateral move or an upgrade. It was a downgrade kind of thing. Now that's not necessarily the case. So you see people starting to do that. I remember once upon a time, there were Michigan guys coming here from staff, right? Because it was considered an upgrade to come here. Now you're looking at, lateral or could be perceived as an upgrade with at least how they've done the last handful of years. So, to me, this is not the only thing, but it's a byproduct of when you're not winning the game and that program's elevating and you're still elevated yourself, but not that much higher than your rival than you used to be. These are the types of things that happen. It's not just players. It can be personnel as well.
I swear we didn't plan this, but I have to disagree with you. The shelf life on that role is limited. Like if you're planning events, she's in her early mid-20s. This is another step on the way to whatever's next for her. She's an associate AD. She's not going to be planning weekends and logistics for 16 and 17-year-olds and their families and their weird uncles to come onto campus. I know that she was effective. This is a loss in the efficacy of that role. And the timing is unfortunate. And it's got some, Alfred's got some fingerprints on it. He's doing his traditional losing recruits dance in Arbor. And this is him showing his new boss, like, look, I can get you an asset the way that you got me over here. But if Ohio State thinks that they can keep anything secret from Michigan, like, have they learned nothing? Have they learned absolutely nothing? You don't need to steal human capital to get the secrets from Columbus to Ann Arbor. They were in hell for 2 decades. They don't want to go back. They're going to do everything they can to do at least what Ohio State's doing, and then more of what Ohio State isn't doing, maybe should be doing. So, is the timing bad with camps and stuff happening? Yeah, it's definitely bad. Could Ohio State have given a bag to an associate or signing retention bonus, anything, to keep her here for another 3 months or whatever? Yeah, that's definitely possible. I think it stings. It doesn't hurt very long, and she won't be in that job, by the time the incoming freshmen at Michigan are seniors. She'll be on to something bigger and better, and Ohio State will barely remember who she was because they'll have someone else running logistics for their recruiting operation.
Wow, man, we just embraced debate. That was phenomenal because I think you guys both.
That's why I said we didn't play. As soon as Chris started giving his answer, I'm like, oh shit, we're going to be embracing debate.
Well, you both made really good points. I mean, I tend to think it's a tough L, but Ramsey, you kind of I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so it didn't take much to get me there, but you kind of talked me off the ledge. So how salty
So I manage 13. I have a team of 13 at work, and I got to be ready for when someone gets promoted, or if they exit, or if they're looking to go somewhere else in the organization. We got to keep going. John Cooper had a really nice expression that's been with me for 30 years. If you want to measure how much someone's missed, you put your fist in a bucket of water. And when you remove your fist, the hole that's left is how much you should miss that person, because you need to have it rolling. And Ryan Day needs to have it rolling. And I think that this happening now, the biggest impact is on, he's Marty McFly. It's very easy to get him turned up. And so Sam Webb saying what he said on a national show this week, I don't know if that's on our topic list, but calling Ryan Day a walking excuse, and then taking his logistics operator for family visits the same week. This is less about getting the skilled know-how and resources and more about tweaking the guy at the top of the org chart, because he's very tweakable. If he can figure out how to not get tweaked, Michigan's in a lot of trouble, because he's very good at the football stuff.
He's going to dearly want to beat them this year, as do every Ohio State fan on earth. Speaking of that, man, there was a poll on 11 Warriors this week. A front page poll every day. East Brown does a really good job of getting those ready for us. Whole question was, would you rather Ohio State beat Michigan or win a national championship in 2024? You can only choose one. And 52% said they'd win a national championship. 48% said they would rather beat Michigan. That's super interesting to me. For me, that should be Natty, no brainer. But there's the whole 3-year thing. So that's kind of tugging on people right now. So I can kind of understand why people might think that. I mean, the analogy I would give, Ramsey, you're a diehard Cleveland Browns fan. If the Browns lost 2 games to the Steelers but won the Super Bowl, how much would you care about those 2 L's to the Steelers?
I wouldn't, because the Browns always lose 2 games to the Steelers. It's I can't have. There's no equal currency between Ohio State and any other Ohio State football and anything else. I think we have a kind of a predicate example. This should have happened 2 years ago. Ohio State, if Noah Ruggles can just kick a field goal 94 yards to the right instead of where he kicked it,
that ball's still in the air. That ball's still in the air, man.
It's still. I think it went to Decatur. If great leg.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a Scud missile moment. If that happens, Ohio State wins the national title after getting absolutely housed at home by Michigan. We know that they had the playbook entering the game from footage of them knowing exactly what was being called on the opening drive. They had the signs entering the game. But think about what would have happened if they beat Georgia and Atlanta, and then they trounced the JV team from Fort Worth. We would have been like, all right, got to get Michigan next year if we're national champions. Because we know how that almost felt. I think you can only win one. You take the Natty.
Yeah, we do actually have
beat Michigan every year. You can't win a Natty every year. This team is designed to win a Natty.
Yeah, I agree. And we do actually have an example from recent history, because when Georgia won their first title recently, they lost to Bama in the SEC championship game. And I don't think anyone in Georgia, any fan there, even thinks about that SEC championship game. I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. Chris, where you at on this?
You know where I'm at. Same thing. I mean, a national championship. What do you play college football for? You play first and foremost to win a national title. In the old world, you had to win the Big Ten, you had to beat Michigan for those things to happen, but it's a different world now. People that answer that question, Michigan, are either hanging on to nostalgia because they don't like the way new football is, or it's, what Grandpa told them, and I'd say that respectfully, but the goal, if you're an Ohio State fan, should be to win the national title above all else. How many times they beat Michigan versus how many times they won a national title? One is much harder to attain. That's the ultimate goal.
By the way, we didn't embrace debate because we agreed. Don't you think that Ohio State has a very strong chance of playing Michigan twice this year?
Yeah.
Which I also love, but I know a lot of purists don't like that either. To me, it's, hey, if you can play twice, I don't see how that
hurts. So is that Chase Brown trivia question losing to Michigan once? Because they can win the rematch.
Yeah.
If they lose to Michigan twice.
Yeah. Then you're like a 16 seed and you're playing on the road. And
if you're letting Alex Orgy or whatever their quarterback's name beat you twice, then you have bigger problems.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, I'm saying I would if it's up to me, we play Michigan 12 times a season and just go to the playoff. I mean, that would be like a really fun season. If it's 6-6, so be it. Let's go to the playoff and see if we can beat on some other people. But I don't want to do this to a guy because one of the commenters on 11 Warriors in the poll comments was like, I'm picking Michigan because wins over Michigan last forever and natties are fleeting. And I was like, what? What are you talking about?
Have you ever looked in the north end zone at the stadium?
We got like 55 wins over Michigan. There's like less than that, a dozen natties, right? A half dozen natties.
Ohio State has the most wins over Michigan of any team in college football and still has a losing record because Michigan's first 17 wins came against Ohio State's club team.
That's right. And making tremendous headway the last 20 years until the last 3 years and closing that gap. I mean, we had a graphic on 11 Wars we used to put out. It was the Ohio State's record since the invention of penicillin and since the first man. And it was all like, it still is favorable, but just the overall is not favorable. So I hate them. I hate their guts. I don't want anything good to ever happen to anyone that's a fan of that school. But give me the Natty. Give me the Natty in that situation.
The Natty's got a lot more capital attached to it than that's a regional crown. You want a national crown.
Yeah, 100%. Some quick ones before we get out of here, man. Angelo Smith, Ohio State's, Jeremiah Smith's younger brother, was at camp. Class of 2027. Can you believe this stuff's already starting? Younger brother, again, of OSU wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith. Plays wide receiver and safety for Chaminade Madonna, the same school that Jeremiah attended. And he gave us one of the best quotes of all time. And I love this is such little brother bravado that I just can't help but respect it. He said, quote, I feel like I'm going to be a better player than him. I know that. His brother's like one of the best high school recruits ever. And the young one's like, no, he's not that.
He's like, we have the same number of college catches.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not in the Hall of Fame yet in Canton, is he? So I got a shot. Buck's got a shot at the guy. You gotta love the not quite the true legacy definition, but little brother, we'll take that. And I just want to see how good the little one becomes because the big one, man, like I cannot wait till the first game of the season to see him split out and just torching someone.
Being covered by an Akron defensive
5'9" corner. I cannot wait for that day.
Akron's going to lose 11 games this year.
Yeah, they're terrible. I think FPI were 132nd right? or something. Yeah,
they're atrocious. They're going to be absolutely horrible.
What did you just mention the line? Is it 50 and a half?
Isn't it like 50, 55, 52. Something like that?
52?
Yeah.
I still like
it should be off the board.
I still like giving 52 there. I feel like that's a safe bet because like some MAC teams
first half line.
Yeah, some MAC teams will bite a little bit. This is like a really bad MAC team. They're not even like a good MAC team.
They're not going to be on the field. The defense is going to score twice, maybe in the first half.
Yeah. I mean, good luck stopping these DEs.
Cumberland versus Georgia Tech.
Do that again, huh? Last bit, man. There's a professional women's hockey league. They just played their first season in the PWHL. 6 teams. They played with city names. They're kind of like starting to slow, get it going and stuff. So I think this year they're going to announce team names, but it was like basically Montreal, Toronto, Boston, Minnesota. No logo, no mascots or logos yet. Just had their second ever PWHL draft. 8 of the 42 total picks in this draft were from the 2024 National Championship Ohio State Buckeyes. That's 19% of the draft. That's basically, if you do that in the NFL, you're just getting 48 guys drafted. So Nadine Weatherall continues to kill it through the top 5, where Buckeyes. Hannah Bilko went to Boston at 4, and then Kayla Barnes to Montreal at 5. It's funny what college sports will do to you. Like, I'm such a Buckeye fan. I know you guys are too. That, like, and Michigan fans do this with softball. Like, you pick a sport you're not even that big into, and you're like, yeah, those are my dogs. You know, like I will clap back at anyone who talks shit about synchronized swimming at Ohio State. Like, I'm ready to go. I don't know anything about the sport. I'm ready to go.
Easily Ohio State's funniest dynasty.
Yeah,
we started with like boat shoes and not being anywhere near water, and who has like the last 30 natties in synchronized swimming?
Yeah,
the school from Columbus.
Yeah, we swim well, man. We do. But I will. I'll go to bat for anyone that chirps at the hockey team, the women's hockey team, the synchronized swimming team. I think rowing had it cooking for a while. Hopefully basketball will get it cooking. I know Diebler met with the press earlier this week. Chris, you feeling a little better about the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a nice job putting together the staff. I think that still a bit of a gamble to say, hey, we think we're just going to develop 3-point shooting versus bringing some guys in that actually, can shoot threes. But the athleticism that they've added, the staff that they've got some proven winners in there. I'm feeling, cautiously optimistic. I don't want to rehash where we were before. I think there were more proven commodities out there, but hey, we'll see where it goes.
It's the barometer is going to be Michigan and Ohio State both did the same thing in the offseason. Take things that were not going well, like blow them up. And for a while, we thought Dusty May might be a guy going to Columbus. Like, now he's destined for Bloomington because Mike Woodson's almost 70. And then he ends up in Michigan. So now you're kind of looking at what they do against each other the next few years. And it's going to be really, it's an awesome storyline. But Ohio State could be really successful if Michigan's more successful. That's going to, there's 2 measurements. Are you better than what Holtman had? And are you better than what Dusty May is doing?
I love that. I do, because both schools are going to be eyeing each other, like side-eyeing each other for the next couple of years. And if one gets a little bit of lead, like we could have had some, obviously Michigan's not going to get Diebler, but Ohio State fans could certainly say we could have had, Dusty May, or could have made a run at Dusty May.
I'll say it now. I love Diebler. And I hate nepotism, and I'm mad at Ohio State's nepotism rule that prohibited from hiring his own brother, who is deeply qualified and also a legend.
I still don't know how that works. I mean, Urban Meyer brought half his family in to coach for Ohio State, and then this guy can't hire his brother, who's actually super qualified.
Still getting rid of guys he brought in.
Yeah. Like, you can't hire your brother who played here and who knows the game really well? I don't get it.
Right. But a Georgia Tech wide receiver, a school that doesn't use wide receivers, you can bring that guy in to coach quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Because he married the right girl? Come on.
Makes sense. Marry well, man. That's my advice, my lesson from this.
This would be like turning down a Bosa. Like Bosa's or a Winfield, which Urban did. Anyone with the right name, there's some people with names you should just hire.
Yeah.
Or recruit.
Yeah. If Antoine Winfield has grandkids, they better have offers or I'm going to lose my mind. Better get offers like in 8th grade because those kids can ball. Mad. I already know he didn't have grandkids yet, but when he does, those kids will be ballers. So I can already, you know that, right?
If he has a grandkid that's like 6 right now, for whatever reason, just not with this safety, not with the incoming defensive back class, but maybe the next one.
Yeah. Standing offer. You're on the team.
Bring in 7-year-old Antoine Winfield III. Start against Akron.
I love it. I mean, he'd probably, be better than half the guys on the Akron secondary, if we're being honest about it. So, hey, man, this is a fun one. Missed you guys. Like I said, we're going slow in the summer, but once
how you feeling? You were playing hurt today.
I was, man.
You kind of sat on that. Didn't let anyone know.
Mouth infection. I was in bad shape the other day. I think my wife made me change the sheets. Let me tell you how bad I sweat with pain. I've had a kidney stone before, and kidney stone hurt really bad. I remember being in the hospital saying something incredibly dumb because I'm like, have you guys had a kidney stone? Oh my God, nothing can come close to it. And I went up you're in the hospital, you're waiting for like an hour. And once you get it, you get it. They give you I got Dilaudid, like a drip of that, and I was flying. I was like, I'm fine now. But until you get there, it's like pure hell. I remember walking up.
You're still hurt. You're like Willis Reed or Kurt Gibson from the 1987 Dodgers.
Absolutely. Totally tough it out.
JT Barrett in 2014 with a torn meniscus.
That's right.
Against Penn State.
A lot of people call me JT Barrett. But I remember walking up to the counter at the hospital and being like, am I going to be seen soon? I'm dying over here. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, that's the shittiest thing I could have said right now because there's probably real people dying.
People are dying in hospitals every 4 minutes. And you're like, you know what? I feel lousy. I'm dying.
They're like, go sit down, you wimp, man. We'll be with you in a little bit. All right. No, she could have said anything to me at that point. I would have been like, yeah, you're right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. As always, take care of each other. Be good to each other. See ya.